Whatever goals you have in life, it's probably going to require some degree of practice, and learning how to practice effectively and overcome frustration is going to go a long way to help you get better faster. In this clip from a full-length interview, Dr. Kristina Driskill, performance anxiety expert, breaks down what effective practice looks like and how to overcome frustration in the practice process. A person is practicing or preparing for something, they're putting in the work. But they're finding themselves getting very frustrated when they're not seeing progress. Mm-hmm. And so maybe they would be tempted to stop or just continue practicing, but the frustration increases, and then maybe the product quality decreases as the the frustration increases. So how do you approach that, and how do you deal with that?
I'd want to know what the process of practicing was like for that person, because oftentimes, again, we're attached to expectation in the practice process. We're not into process, we're into product, which means you're paying attention to the wrong things, which means you're practicing inefficiency, which means you're wasting your time. I would look at whether or not practicing was being seen as an exploration as opposed to something that you just go through, go through the motions of. If you're just going through the motions, then you're saying you're practicing and that you're working hard, but you're not. And some people just aren't aware. They just don't realize that that's what they're doing. They think they're working hard, but they're not. They're just doing the same thing monotonously without thinking at all.
Yeah.
So it's mindlessness.
I did that for hours in the practice room. I would just, sing the same thing over and over again, and it didn't work. And then
and you're like, I'm working hard over here. I'm working hard.
Like that.
Yeah, exactly. And then you get frustrated because you're like, why is this not changing? Right. Why am I not having any progress? So 9 times out of 10, that's how someone is practicing and how they're approaching practicing in their mind.
Yeah.
I mean, you remember even when you and I first started working together, I was like, you gotta change the way you think about what happens. You can't be worried about making bad sound. You can't be worried about making a mistake. You got to open your face and let something come out and let's see what that is.
Yeah.
Okay. We either like it or we don't like it. Either way is fine.
Right.
But let's see what it is, and then we can talk about it. If you're trying to make sure it's okay before it ever comes out of your face, you're late.
It's that self-permission to make any
sense. Yeah,
sense.
Exactly. It's the lack of expectation and the lack of judgment. What I always refer to with you guys is observe and report, right? Just observe, and then report to yourself. Like, what did you observe? I mean, how many times do I say to people, what did you think about that? And they'd be like, I'm like, well, what are you doing then? What are you paying attention to?
Yeah.
What did you do? I don't know. Well, let's try again. And this time pay attention. So you start to realize oftentimes that you're paying attention to the wrong thing. Many people try to make sound, especially when they're working with a teacher, they will try to make sound. And the only thing they're paying attention to is what the teacher then says. And, my premise, of course, was always, if that's what you're waiting for, how are you going to practice the other 6 days and 23 hours of the week?
Yeah.
If you can't say to me, I liked that because, or I did not like that because, and I think what I'm doing is this, and let me try it again. If you can't do that because you want me to tell you, then you are not taking any responsibility, really. And your teacher is just enabling you at that point to do that. So, it really is about taking the responsibility of realizing that it's your voice, it's your work. You need to have a say in it. You need to be paying attention in a way that helps you to figure out what's going on, what's not going on. Then you can take that information into a lesson or to your teacher and be like, I was trying this and I was trying that, and I'm not quite sure what's going on here. And then the teacher can say, okay, let's hear that. Let's work on it. Let me see if I can help you out.
Right.
The teacher's job should not be able to just tell you what to do all the time and you mindlessly just stand there and absorb information and then go away. Your job should be to explore and to figure out what's working, what's not. Bring that to your teacher and let them help you with the places where you're stuck. Let them serve as a guide.
Yeah.
Not as an authoritarian figure that just tells you, what to do. Like you don't have any thoughts yourself. Like you can't, figure stuff out for yourself.
Yeah. Well, I think, one of the biggest things that shocked me when we first started working together is the idea of like practice being exploration, right? Because even if you record yourself on a voice memo, even if there's no other person in the room, you can listen back and be like, that's good, that's bad. You know what I mean? as opposed to, you introduce this idea of just playing around and making crazy sounds, and so still to this day, I'll be practicing and being like,
yeah, because you want to feel like, what am I doing while I do that? First of all, what am I doing while I do that? And then secondly, just being okay, like training yourself to be okay with something being less than ideal, less than your perception of perfection, something like that. When you listen to something, you say that's good or that's bad. I want to know how you repeat good. How do you tell your body, okay, be good again? And how do you tell your body, okay, don't be bad. Okay, so you heard it and you said that was bad. So what you're telling your body is, don't do anything that just happened just now. Well, do you know what you did? No.
Yeah.
So how are you going to do that?
Yeah.
You can't.
Be feeling what's happening. Like, what is?
Yeah, paying attention. You're paying attention to the wrong thing. You're paying attention to quality, as opposed to paying attention to what is actually causing that quality.
Yeah.
Like, what is causing that quality to happen or not happen? And then what would I like to keep and what would I like to shift? What would I like to change? When anytime you say something is good or bad, you're just wasting time, really. Yeah. You're not helping yourself learn at all.
Yeah.
I want to know why. Why did you, like I said, I shift that kind of language. Good and bad are things that we react to as people, and again, it goes from conditioning since we were children. Right? When you're told you're good, you feel okay, right? You attach that to self-esteem, self-worth. When you're told you're bad, you don't like that, so you don't want to be bad again, or maybe you rebel and you're purposely bad because you're frustrated, so we attach bad and good to things, I think, that are as a way of trying to label how we should feel about them. So I always tell people to shift those out for, I liked this because, and then you must say what it was. Like, so you have to be paying attention to do that. Or, I did not like that because. What did you not like about that and why?
Yeah.
And you can't say things like, well, because the sound was bad. Now we're back to that again. I'm like, well, okay, why?
Because it felt uncomfortable, or because.
Right. And where did it feel uncomfortable?
Right.
Where did, was it, was the tongue pulled back? Was the jaw tight? Did the chest feel tight? Were you slumped over? Like, what were you doing? Why?
And then that leads down a thought process of things that you can actually adjust and change. You can't just not be bad, right?
Exactly. That's what I'm saying. You can't, your body doesn't know how to do that. And when you do something, you say that was bad, that sucked, whatever. I want you to think about how the body reacts to that. Everything you just did, the body registers all of it as being, don't repeat that. Okay, well, what if you took a really great breath? What if you really opened the body in a way that was great? What if you gave yourself a great foundation? What if the only thing you did was to pull back the tongue like this? And yet you just said that everything that happened was bad. So now you're trying to take that same breath again, but the body just got told that everything was bad. So it's trying not to take that breath. And now we've created hesitation in the body.
Yeah.
That manifests as tension, and you wonder why you can't move forward.
With over 20 years of performance experience and research, Dr. Kristina Driskill is an expert on performance anxiety and how the brain works. She holds a Doctor of Musical Arts degree, as well as certifications in social emotional arts, business coaching, and money mindset. She's a published author and has built a successful coaching and consulting practice, helping others identify and work through fear-based thoughts and habits. If you want to know more about her, you can check out the description below for more information, as well as links to her website and social media.